Hi everyone, I'm Ching from Fix Academy. Today we start our first class of Face ID. In this first class, we will talk about the theory of principle of Face ID. Knowing the functions of the components and the principle of this is very important. In this way, we will know which are the components that work first. And in the repair, it saves us from the double work. As many know, some of these components are encrypted, in which it is impossible to repair. The encrypted components cannot be replaced until the entire complete set changes. Knowing the circuit and principle, we will know when it can be repaired and when not. Another benefit that can have when knowing the theoretical part is that it will be able to explain to the client the sequence and the principles of the Face ID. In this way, it will increase the credibility of the client when making the repair. In this theoretical class, we will talk about 7 topics. The number 1, what is the true depth system? Number 2, what scenarios does the true depth system apply to? Number 3, how is the front camera portrait mode implemented? Number 4, how an emoji works. Number 5, how Face ID works. Number 6, true depth system circuit principle. And the last one, true depth system maintenance method. The first topic, what is the true depth system? In September 2017, Apple released the new iPhone X. iPhone X canceled the bottom star button that Apple had used for 10 years and adopted a full screen design. Apple X canceled the home button, and the Touch ID originally built into the home button has replaced it by Face ID. To achieve a more advanced Face ID function, Apple integrated many advanced sensors in a small area on top of the Apple. You can look at the image from left to right. The first one is the infrared camera. Then you can see the flood illuminator. After it, you can see the proximity sensor, and then the ambient light sensor, the earpiece, front microphone, FaceTime camera, and the dot projector. In all this area, Apple called it true depth system. What scenarios does the true depth system apply to? This applies to 3 scenarios. The first one is the portrait mode. It is used when we use the camera of the iPhone in portrait mode. The second scenario is the Animoji. This uses the true depth camera to capture and analyze over 15 different facial muscles movements, such as smiling or angry. And the last scenario is the Face ID. We use it when we unlock the phone. How is the front camera portrait mode implemented? The background blur used by the iPhone X front camera for portrait mode photography requires the cooperation of a dot projector and an infrared camera. When iPhone X uses the front camera for portrait mode photography, it requires the front camera, the dot projector, and the infrared camera to cooperate with each other. The front camera collects images in real time and performs facial recognition. The dot projector continually places more than 30,000 infrared monitoring spots on the face to view a 3-dimensional digital model of the face. The infrared camera scans and recognizes the digital model of the 3-dimensional face and transmits the data to the CPU in real time. The A11 Bionic CPU performs an intelligent AI calculation and blurs the non-face area of the screen to achieve the effect of portrait mode. If the dot projector and infrared camera are damaged in the original Face ID depth detection system, the background of the front camera will blur when taking portrait mode photos. Number 4. How Animoji works. By using the dynamic Animoji, the dot projector will start working and continuously place more than 30,000 infrared monitoring points on the face to build a three-dimensional facial digital model. The infrared camera scans and recognizes the digital model of the three-dimensional face and transmits the data to the CPU in real time. The Bionic A11 CPU, the Bionic processor, track and analyze dynamic 3D face data in real time and sends notification to be shown as an animation. Damage to the dot projector and the infrared camera in the TrueDepth system will render dynamic emoji unusable. Number 5. How Face ID works. Recording of Face ID. First of all, the front camera starts working, and the iPhone shows the user's screen to allow him to confirm the position of the face in the viewfinder. Then the proximity sensor starts working and detects the spatial distance of the user face from the device to signal the user to move closer or back. After that, the ambient light sensor starts detecting the intensity of the ambient light around the device and adjusts the power of the flood illuminator. Then the flood illuminator works to illuminate the user face when the light is dim. Then the dot projector works, places more than 30,000 infrared monitoring points on the user face and builds a 3D digital face model. And finally, the infrared camera works, scans the 3D digital face model, encrypts the data and stores it in the CPU. When Face ID is used to unlock, the dot projector will continuously place infrared monitoring points on the user face. And at the same time, the flood illuminator will fill the light according to the intensity of the ambient light around the device. And the infrared camera will work in real time to read the 3D face data and send it to the CPU to check the data and ask if it can be unlocked. TrueDepth System Circuit Principle. The TrueDepth system has 5 important components. I will also tell you the functions of each one. The first one is the infrared camera. The infrared camera is used to scan and recognize the 3D facial digital model built on the face of the dot projector and send the data to the CPU. The second, the red ones that we can see in the picture, is the FaceTime camera. It's the front camera to determine face position. The third one, the orange one, is the dot projector. The dot projector is responsible for placing more than 30,000 detection points on the face to construct a three-dimensional face digital model. The fourth one is the flood illuminator. The flood illuminator projects infrared light to illuminate the face, helping the Face ID system to perform facial scan recognition even in dim light conditions. And the last one is the ambient light sensor. The function of this is that the brightness of the screen is automatically adjusted according to the intensity of the ambient light around the device, or the intensity of the infrared light emitted by the flood illuminator is adjusted according to the intensity of the ambient light around the device.
The proximity sensor, the ambient light sensor, the full illuminator, their working condition also have two. One is power, and the second is signal. Now we see the connector, the 10 pin and the 12 pin. These 2 pin, the line also is the CPU send out the I2C control bus to control those 3 sensors. And the pin 14, this line is the ambient light sensor to CPU the interrupt signal. And the pin 8, this line is the proximity sensor to CPU the interrupt signal. And we see the pin 6. This pin is the full emitter to the U3700, the camera power IC, and the U4400, the infrared power IC, the status ready signal. Okay, now we talk about the dot projector. And the dot projector, the working connection also have two. One is power, and the second is signal. Now we see this connector, the pin 10. This pin, the 9 is the U3700, the camera power IC, send the 3.3 voltage to the dot projector. And we see the 15, 16, and 11, and 12, and 17, and 18. Those light all is sent by the U4400, the infrared power IC. And then we see the pin 1 and pin 3 also from the U4400, the infrared power IC send these two lines power. And then we see the pin 4 and pin 9. Pin 4 and pin 9, these two lines all is the I2C control signal from CPU. And then we see the pin 6. Pin 6, this line is the CPU to the dot projector, the detect signal. And then we see the pin 6. Pin 6 is the dot projector, the study scene signal. Okay, now we see the infrared camera. The infrared camera also have two working conditions. One is power and the second is signal. And then as you can see, we see the red line. As you can see, the 19 and 20, these two pins is the PP 1.1 voltage power. This power is from the U3700, the camera power IC. And we can see the pin 6. Pin 6 also is the power. This pin is the PP 2.85 voltage power. This power is also from the U3700, the camera power IC. And then we see the pin 10. Pin 10, this is the PP 1.8 voltage power. This power is from the U2700 PMU, the main power IC. Okay, now we're talking about the signal part. Now we see the connector, the left side. We see the pin 3, pin 5, pin 9, pin 11, pin 15, and pin 17. Those is free through the infrared camera to CPU, the MIPI video communication signal. Now we see the right side of this connector. We see the pin 2. Pin 2 is the infrared camera power IC to CPU and to the infrared camera the study scene signal. And we see the pin 4. This pin is special. This pin just connected to connector. And this pin is the front camera to the infrared camera the scene signal. And we see the pin 12. This pin is the CPU to the infrared camera shut down, turn off signal. And the pin 14 and pin 16, these two lines all is the CPU I2C control signal. And the 18, this line is the clock signal. Okay, this is infrared camera, the theory. And now we're talking about the proximity sensor.
True depth system maintenance method. Common Face ID failures. Face ID has three common failures. The first one is that the system indicates that the face identification is not available. The second one is that can be opened but Face ID is not available. And the last one is that can open but stay in intake interface, prompting you to move up and down. Entering the system indicates that the identification of the face is not available. Error when start. Determine if the three main components coincide with the original machine. Then check the cables of the three main components. After that, check the working condition of the three main components, the power supply and the signal. The three principal components are infrared camera, dot projector, and the flood illuminator. The solution of the second common failure: when it can be opened but an error appears. If standard error appears 5 seconds later, do a flash. If error message appears immediately after opening, check whether the dot projector and the infrared camera are cracked. Can be opened but Face ID is not available. First, try calling 112 to see if the screen turns off. Then, test if the screen brightness can be adjusted automatically. If not, change to a new cable, the cable of the flood illuminator. When you finish, the repair is completed. If yes, check if it is blurred in portrait mode. In case of not, check if the red light blinks. If it didn't blink, there is no repair. If yes, check the infrared camera. If it is blurred in the portrait mode, change to a new cable. When it works, repair completed. If not, do a X and Y adjustment of dot projector and infrared lens. Shave at the same level. Repair completed. Well, here we finish the theory class. I hope you take notes and practice more. See you in the next class. See you later.